Hey everyone, it's Gina from Gina K Designs, and I am so glad to be here with you on another Stampin' Chat. This is our lunchtime edition, so happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great week. Lots of great things happening for you this week. Today, we are going to play with a brand new stamp set by Emily Loggins called Sweet. And this is a really fun stamp set to play with. It's great for coloring if you like to color the big word. We have two big words in this set, two big loves. There's one that's 4 letters like on top of each other to make a rectangle, and then there's one that you can use straight across this way. It's got this great heart element and then lots of other greetings that coordinate with the love or that you can use inside. Now, if you didn't see, we just had a new release, and on Monday night we had a release party. So if you didn't get a chance to see everything that's new, you can head over to Monday's Stampin' Chat replay, and you can catch all the new things. Now, I know some things sold out, but we do have a join waitlist button, and we already have everything reordered, and they're going to be pretty fast about getting it back in stock for us. So we sure hope that if there's something on your wish list, that you'll hit the waitlist button, and it will be back in stock soon. So I just like to welcome everybody coming in. I see people coming in from all over the country and all over the world. I know that it's a great time over in Europe for us to do this. So hello to all my European friends who normally can't come to my nighttime lives. So today I thought we would have a little bit of fun with some rainbow ink blending and rainbow stamping. So I'm going to add another set to the mix, and it's one of my favorite sets. I think a lot of you already have this because I've used it so many times, and it is called Tiny Textures. So this is the Tiny Textures stamp set, and it's got these 3 textures that you can stamp to create kind of like a paintbrush swish. It's also got like a little square gauze piece. And then this is more like a splatter. And then I'm going to use this. And I'm also going to use one greeting from the stamp set that's part of our Stampin' Stencil bundle, our layering stencil bundle, the one that's called A Little Love. And I know a lot of you have this one too. But if you don't have this set, you can use any kind of sentiment that's kind of a, like a line sentiment. And I'm going to use probably one of the little strips from Master Layouts 3. I may use one from Master Layouts 4 too. They're different sizes, so we'll put it all together and see what happens. So great to see you all coming in. It's so nice to have you here. Here's a bird's eye view of the new Sweet stamp set. And for my cards today, I'm going to focus on this big image right here. This is a lot of fun to stamp, and I thought I would use that today. So I'm going to start with a piece of cardstock. And here is a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cardstock. It's just a quarter sheet. I like to use that side when I'm using the new Master Layouts 4 die set. This is the big scalloped rectangle that has stitching in it, and that fits really nicely on here. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to center my design as much as possible into the center when I stamp it, and then after I'm all done stamping, then we'll cut it out with the die. Okay, so let's start with the Misty. This is a nice big image, so I'm going to use the Misty for this. And let me get this stamp out of here. We're going to stamp this a couple of times today. So let's stamp that first right in the center. And then I'm just going to place this here just to make sure that looks pretty good, that there's room to cut that out. And that looks really good. All right. And welcome to everybody coming in. It's great to see you all today. Okay, so I'm just using our layering weight cardstock for this. You can use any weight cardstock you want. If you want to use heavyweight, that is totally fine. And I'm going to use some of the Gina K Designs Black Onyx dye ink. So I'm going to ink this up. Now, this can get a little inky, this image. So I just want to get my tidy towel here. Let me scoot this over a little bit. You can see I got a little bit on there. Normally that's not a problem, but if you want to be sure, you can always just wipe that off before you stamp. I'm going to add just a little more ink on here. And remember, you can always stamp it a second time if you need more ink, as long as that piece of cardstock is tucked into the MISTI. I'm going to use my Chucky tool to help apply some pressure here. Let's take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Maybe one more little thing of pressure there. Okay, so I'm going to take this and put this aside. Now, while I have the MISTI all set up with this design on it, I am going to take a piece of masking paper. So this is the Gina K Designs Masking Magic. And it comes in, let's see, there's 12 sheets, 12 5x7 sheets in this pack. And I'm just going to cut this down because I'm going to mask some of the letters here. So let's just cut that down. We'll do 4 1/4 for this, just to kind of get it in the same spot. Oh, thank you guys so much for asking about my mouth. My mouth is healing up very well. I appreciate you asking. I still don't have results yet, but I promise as soon as I get them, I will share them with you guys. Okay, so we're gonna just stamp that onto the masking magic. Okay. So there we go. I'm going to put that aside. Then I'm going to clean this stamp because I want to move it again and I don't want to touch it because it's all inky. So I'm going to get the stamp. You can see it's pretty stained already because I've been using it a lot. So now I'm going to put this bigger piece of cardstock into my MISTI and I'm going to end up cutting a heart. So I want to make sure that there's enough room to cut this heart. And then I am going to position this right in the center of this cardstock. And we'll cut this down later after I do the heart part. But I want to make sure there's plenty of room. Yes, there is. So we're going to stamp this one more time. Well, I guess that was a little wet. Let me get another piece of cardstock here. I know I have one somewhere. Maybe that won't be so bad. Let's see how it looks. All right, we'll see what happens. I can't believe that I'm like out of white cardstock. I should never let that happen. All right, I think this will be fine. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to, once again, put this aside. And we're going to go back to that first one that we were working on. But I'm going to remove the love stamp off of my MISTI right now because I am done with that for today. All right. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to take that first love that I made and I'm just going to put it in the MISTI just because I want to stamp on the MISTI. It's a nice place to stamp, although you can stamp certainly right on your desktop. You don't need a MISTI to do this. Now, the stamp that I'm going to use is this stamp right here. And I've used this so many times, but I just love it. I put it on an acrylic block, and you can see it's well loved and well stained, but that's okay. It'll stamp beautifully. And you know what? I think I am going to get the MISTI out of here, and I'm going to work right on the table, just so I have a little room to spread out. Okay. All right, so the colors that I want to use today, because I'm going to make some rainbow cards, I'm going to use red velvet. I'm also going to use Tangerine Twist. If you don't have Tangerine Twist, sweet mango is a great substitute. I'm going to use wild dandelion. I'm going to use, I think for this card, I'm going to use Lucky Clover. I think for my second card with ink blending, I'm going to use Jelly Bean Green, just for a little contrast. And then I'm going to use Turquoise Sea. Now, if I need another color for my second card, I'll add a little wild lilac in there, but for now, this will be great. Now, remember, when we do a rainbow, we want to go in rainbow order, right? So we want to go red, orange, yellow, green, and then blue, which is the turquoise in this case. But for this design, I'm going to start with the wild dandelion because I want my first stamped image to be right in the center of the card. And then I'm going to work my way up and down. So I'm starting with the middle color, which is the wild dandelion. So let's do that one first. And that's going to help me gauge and make sure that my rainbow stays on that love. And if I start up here, I might start down too low, and then all of a sudden my colors are going to go off. So this is kind of a way to avoid that happening. All right, so I'm starting with Wild Dandelion. I'm going to ink that up real well. And I'm going to stamp that right over the break between the LO and the VE, so right in the middle. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I am jumping the gun here. Okay, let me clean that off, and we're gonna wait. I've done it this way and it looks really cool, but what I want to do is I want to achieve the look of white letters. And in order to do that, I have to use my masking paper and I have to cut these letters out. Now, when I first looked at these, I thought, oh, these are going to be hard to cut out. They are so easy to cut out because the outside line is almost pretty solid. The inside line is the one that has more of the detail, and you're going to cut along the outside line. So I'm using the Tim Holtz scissors here. I love these scissors. They come in this cute little case. Isn't that so cute? Keeps them very protected. And then I'm going to cut these out. Now I'll just cut out the O because that's the most complicated one to cut out because you have to cut out the center too. And then I already pre-cut these. So that'll save us a little bit of time so I can get to both cards today. Okay, so I'm going to just cut around the perimeter first, and I'm cutting on the black line. So I really don't want any white space, but if you have a tiny little bit of white space, it's not the end of the world. And when I say little, I mean, you know, don't worry if there's just a little bit of white showing. Remember, ink is liquid, really. So when you stamp it, it's going to spread just a little bit. So if there's a tiny little bit of white showing, that's fine. Now, you really couldn't do this if it was, you know, a coordinating die set, unless that die set was exactly the same size as the letters, because those coordinating dies always leave that little white shadow layer. But for those of you that have a scan and cut, that might work. Okay, so now I cut the outside. Now to cut the inside, I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to do a slit in the center like that. And now I'm going to stick my scissors in there, and I'm just going to cut to one, just like one line to the edge there. And then I'm going to get my scissors in there, and I'm going to turn it and start cutting along that inside edge. I hope that made sense, and I hope you could see that okay. I know my fingers were probably in the way for some of it, but, and even if you put a crease in it, like if you fold it in half and you get a crease, that's okay. Don't worry about it, because you're going to smooth these down on top of your letters that you stamped, and the crease won't really matter. Okay, so we're going right to that edge there, and there we go. So now we have the O. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I cut the rest of the letters out. Actually, I was standing here waiting to go live, and I thought, oh, I'll just cut them out now. And they were really, really fast to cut out. The only one that's hard to remember which way to go is the O. And I just look for this little kind of squiggly line here and just match it up. And then that makes it easy to find the spot. Okay, so we're going to peel the backing off of these letters. You know, I trimmed my nails down and I meant to paint them, so I'm sorry I have to look at my unpainted short nails. Okay, now I'm going to be very careful with these letters too, because I'm going to use these a second time for my second card. And I see some of you asking about when the new stamps are going to be back in stock, and we're looking about 2 weeks. So not very long. Okay. So I'm pressing that down, and you can see it's right on top. I thought these would be hard to line up, and they're not. They're very easy to line up. Yeah, you definitely could mark the top of your mask with an O or with a dot. That's a great idea, Ginger. Okay. Get this little piece off of here. Well, I think coordinating dies have the little white edge around them because people like them to like kind of stand out from the backgrounds a little bit. So, and I know even I have a scan and cut that I use for some stamps that I don't have coordinating dies for. And you can choose to cut right on the line or not on the line, you know, have that little edge. And I always prefer the little edge. I just think it kind of highlights the image and it makes it pop out a little bit. Susan, we do have plans for new ink colors. Yes, we do. Right now, we've got another big project we're working on, but as soon as we're up and running with that project, we are going to be adding to our color collection. Okay, so the V, I'm going to get the V down here, and you can see, I mean, as long as you kind of get it into position, just do one side at a time. There we go. All right, and the E. So if, you know, the Masking Magic has a cut down the center in the back so you can kind of break it in half and pull it open. But a lot of times when you're doing small things like this, you won't be able to find that because, you know, you're cutting on one side or the other. So I just fold the edge over and then I just get my nail and I just separate it that way. I had it separated, but I had to open my mouth and show you, right? And now it's back together again. There we go. All right, so my final letter. So it's fun to do these masks and to store them. You guys know I store my stamps in the Gina K Designs storage pockets. So these, because they're sticky, you can just stick your masks right on the storage pocket and then they're always with the stamp set, which is really nice. Did I tear that? Oh, I did. Did I tear it? No. What's going on with this? Well, that looks okay. All right, there we go. Optical illusion. It's all good. Okay. So now one thing you have to know about the masking paper is, you know, if you don't press it down hard enough, it'll actually pull up with the stamp. And if you press it down too hard, then it's okay. You just have to be careful peeling it off so you don't tear them. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to that wild dandelion because I'm going to stamp my first image right in the center between the LO and the VE. All right. Here we go. So when you're stamping this, you want to give it a little bit of extra pressure because remember, it's got to go around that masking paper. So really give it some extra pressure. And then I'm just holding onto the masking paper here. There we go. Okay, so now I have my yellow. Now I'm going to just clean the stamp and I'm going to work backwards now. I'm going to go with the tangerine, which is the orange, and the red velvet. And then down here, I'm going to go with the lucky clover and the turquoise sea. Okay, so we're doing tangerine next. Alrighty. And then I'm not worrying too much. I just want to make sure that they're kind of lined up on the side. You can overlap them a little if you want. And again, you want to give it some good pressure because you want to make sure that you sink down into that O. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, and now we're going to use the red velvet. Now you don't have to do rainbow blends for this. You could alternate green, blue. If you want to make it as a Valentine, you can do pinks and purples and reds. You can do it any way you want, but I just decided on a rainbow because I thought it would be fun. Okay, so this one I'm going to stamp right about here. And again, I'm giving good pressure, making sure I get around that mask. And I'm holding on to the letters here when I pull the block up. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to move down and we're going to do the green next under the yellow. So we'll use Lucky Clover for that. The stamp set that I'm using is a new one called Sweet. Alrighty. Okay. All right. Let's hold on to the dies there. I mean the masks. And now I'm going to do Turquoise Sea. Welcome to anybody who's just joining us. I see lots of you coming in. I know some of you are at work and you're trying to sneak away with your lunch and get on your phone or your tablet. So welcome. We're making a rainbow love card. And this last one is going to go right down here. Ooh. All righty. So now it's time that we get to peel the masks off. This is always fun. So again, I highly recommend, clean hands. And then you want to just gently peel these off so that you can use them again. All right, so let me peel that off. There we go. Isn't that fun? Oh, I love that. I like this set a lot because, I know that sometimes love stamps, you tend to think of Valentine's Day, but I absolutely think that you can send a love card anytime. And, if you don't want to reuse your masks for something, you can use these for a separate card. They're ready to go, and that would be a very cool look. You could just put those right onto your card in a frame. But I'm going to use the masks again. And they're super easy to cut, but I already have them cut, so why not save them and get a few more cards out of them before I ditch them? Okay. There we go. Doesn't that just look so fun? Okay, so I'm going to put this aside for a second, and I'm going to... Let's see, what color am I going to use for this card? I think I'm going to use a Turquoise Sea card base. I think that would be a really pretty color combination. So what I'm going to do is cut the card base first. I'm going to use my big cutter off to the side here. Let's see. So I have my card base. And then I'm going to cut a smaller piece. So I'll make this just a quarter sheet. We can save this for something else. And then I'm going to stamp one of the greetings from the A Little Love stamp set. And that's this one right here that came with the layering stencil bundle. So I'm going to do that just by hand with some black ink. And I think, let me look at the dies. So we got 2 dies in the Master Layouts 4 set. So of course, Love and Birthday Wishes is always great, but I think I want to use Love You With All My Heart. I think that would be really fun. And you could send that to somebody anytime. It does not have to be a Valentine's Day card, and it doesn't have to be romantic love. I would totally send a card like this to my friends. Because I can't tell you how many times a day I text with my friends, and every time we finish the conversation, we always say, love you too. So I love my friends. All right, so I'm going to use black ink for this. And I will just stamp that like that. Clean this up real quick. So you don't have to put a greeting with this. You can just leave the word love as it is and then do something on the inside for sure. But it is kind of neat to see how these mix and match with things that you might already have in your collection. And you may have tons of stamps that coordinate with the word love. It doesn't even have to be like something that coordinates with love. You could say love and then do a strip sentiment that says, I miss you, or happy birthday, hope your day is great, thinking of you. Love is just kind of the feel of the card. All right, so now I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to do quite a bit of die cutting here. I'm going to cut this out using this flag that came with the Master Layouts 4. I'm going to be using all Master Layouts 4 today. I really like this new Master Layout set. Okay. So I'm going to tape this down with a little bit of washi tape just to make sure it doesn't shift. It's great to see you all. Welcome. If this is your first time with me, welcome. It's so nice to see you. So if you guys are part of our Facebook group, and the Facebook group, Tom had it up on the screen. It's Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. If you're part of our Facebook group, if you go into the files section, I have some sheets that tell you the sizes for slimline cards and regular A2 cards. I've got a lot of different files in there that you guys can download and put in a binder, lots of tip sheets and things like that. So that's a great way to find out all of those sizes if you're interested. I saw somebody ask about what size a slimline card is. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do here is, let me get a piece of Masking Magic. I want a big piece of Masking Magic because I'm going to cut a heart out of it. I have a bunch of Masking Magic here. This is my favorite thing ever. And I'm just going to cut a piece of it off to the side here on my paper cutter. I want it to be big enough that my heart is going to fit. So you can see what size I made it. It's kind of a big square. And then I'm going to cut this heart. And this is the plain heart. There are two hearts in the Master Layout set. There is this stitched one. And then there's this one, and they actually layer together to create a little shadow layer, which, you know me, I have to have a little black shadow layer behind everything. But for this one, I'm going to use the one that's 1/8 of an inch bigger. And I'm going to cut that out right in the center of this Masking Magic. Now I'm doing this now because I have my die cutting machine here, and this is actually going to be for the next card. Actually, I'm going to turn it this way because it's a little wider. And I'm going to cut it right in the center. And then you can keep this heart and use it for another card. So don't ever throw your shapes away once you cut them, because you can put that in the middle of your card and then do ink blending all around it, and you'll have a nice open white heart to stamp in. But this is the piece that I'm going to use. All right. And remember, if you ever, you miss what I say in these lives, like what stamp sets I'm using or what colors I'm using for my rainbow blends, I always put that information in the description over on YouTube after the live. I go back and I adjust the description so that you guys can get all that information. So you don't have to remember to write everything down or whatever. So now this is that scalloped stitched frame from Master Layouts 4, and I'm going to cut this out using that. Okay, just kind of want to center it. And I'm going to place my plate on top. Now you could tape this down if you're worried about it getting crooked, but I'm not too worried. Oh yeah, I'll definitely do something with that postage stamp die in an upcoming live. Absolutely I will. I love that little die. Okay, so now we have our focal piece. So let's wrap up this first card, and then we'll start working on the second card. All right, let me bring this back into the scene here. All right. Now, I already made the commitment to use a Turquoise Sea card base, so I have that here ready to go. I had one close by. And if you want, you can put this on with foam tape so you can pop it up and give it a little bit of dimension. But for this one, I'm just going to tape it right down on top. Alrighty. I really like this die. This die has been so much fun to play with. Alrighty. So we'll just line that up. There we go. And then We can pop this right in the center like that with a little foam tape. If you prefer, you can always put it down near the bottom, but I really kind of like it going right across the center. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to pop it up with a little foam tape. So I have the Gina K Designs foam tape. Now this could be a little bit wide. So let's just check. No, actually that's going to be a good width for this. So let me get my sticky scissors. Here they are. Ugh. I know, I got to clean them. Okay. Now, if you're worried or you don't think that you're going to get it on there properly, you can always trim this down because you really don't need that much foam tape. And I'm a little worried, so I'm just going to cut it in half like that. And then I'll save this piece for something else. And that will just go right in the center like that. Okay. Now, a black strip would have been really pretty too with white embossing, but because I don't have any black going around the perimeter of the card, I felt like the turquoise greeting was going to be more aesthetically pleasing. So there we go. There's my first little love card. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Tish. I appreciate that. If you are watching on YouTube or you watch the replay later on YouTube, I would love you to hit the like button for this video. That actually helps get my channel out there a little bit more to people that maybe don't know about me. And also, if you'd like to subscribe, then you'll never miss another live or another recorded video. You'll always get a little notification if you click the notification bell. So I would love you to do that. Also, if you only watch on YouTube and you're not on Facebook, I always post pictures of my card on YouTube. If you go to my channel, there's a community tab and you click on the community tab and you'll see my little write-up with pictures of the cards because they always look so much better in photography than they do on the live. Okay, so there's my first card. I'm going to put this aside and then we're going to work on that second card. So here's the second card we're going to do. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to first use these same masks and I'm going to put these over the letters. You can kind of get a feel for what this would look like if this was just a card too. It's kind of cool. They're really pretty, aren't they? Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't know me, but I appreciate that sentiment. That is very kind. All right. It's pretty already, isn't it? So maybe after the last card, well, no, because you're going to mess up these masks, but you can always cut them again and do the same technique and then use the masks for the next card. All right. Oh, Mindy, I'm sorry. I don't have my headband on. I will wear a headband in a live, I promise. I posted a picture on Facebook. We had pajama day and, you know, I didn't do anything with my hair that day. So I just put a headband around my head and Mindy made me promise that I'd wear a headband in one of my lives. So I will do that. I'm a headband girl. I have so many headbands. Okay, so that's pretty cool just like that. I mean, come on, let's face it. You could cut that out and that would be a very cool card. But we're not using that. We're doing something completely different. So now we're going to use this piece of masking paper and we're going to mask off a heart right in the center. I do need non-stick scissors. Although the Tim Holtz scissors are non-stick, I just haven't cleaned them in so many years that after a while it does even build up on nonstick. But that's kind of a Teflon-y kind of material that those scissors were. Okay, so I just want to try to get this straight. So let's start right there. Just trying to aim that V of the heart. And then I'm just tapping lightly down. I don't want to stretch the mask because then it becomes more difficult. See, you get those ripples in there. So I'm going to have to work around that. Let's see here if I can lift that and get rid of that. There we go. And then I'm going to just press right along the perimeter of that heart just to make sure my brush doesn't slip underneath. Okay. So now I'm going to do a little bit more ink blending. And once again, I'm going to use the same rainbows. I'm going to start with the red velvet up in this corner. So I'm using the Gina K Designs blending brushes. Oh, Mary Jo, if you go to YouTube and you just search Gina K Designs, Stamp TV, anything like that, I will come up. Gina K videos, Gina K stamping, I come up in almost any search if you have Gina K in there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start just a little bit off the heart. And I'm going to start adding some color in there. Now, I don't want to go too far down because I have 5 colors. So I want to make sure I have enough room. But you can go back and add a couple layers. There we go. So I might not be done with red. We'll see. But I'm going to close it up for now. I'm going to pretend I'm done. And now I'm going to go with the Tangerine Twist. Alrighty. I'm trying to look up and look at your comments at the same time. I know I don't always get to all of them, so I apologize. Please don't take it personally. Sometimes I'm just stamping and I can't, they go by so fast because we have a lot of people here. Okay, so now I've blended the red into some tangerine. Alrighty. I think the community tab and everything is still on YouTube on the iPad. But I don't know 100%. Okay, now I'm going to go with yellow. This is Wild Dandelion. You can see I'm kind of going like right over the last color and just spreading it out just a little bit. This is going to give such a pretty blend. And now we're going to go with Jelly Bean Green this time. So I've got my green brush here. Yeah, the YouTube app is really good to put on your iPad. That's what I use. So maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know. They did something to the desktop version on tablets. Sometimes I try to go on the desktop version because I need to see something like on the back end of my channel, and that doesn't seem to work as well anymore. So the app is really good. Okay, I'm just going to go down here, and then I'm going to kind of finish that up with turquoise. So we've got Turquoise Sea for the final color. Okay. And here is the final color. I'm coming in to the side there. I'm blending that in. Just got to get some blue in there. And you'll see how pretty this looks. It looks like a hot mess right now, but it's going to be very pretty when we peel everything off. Okay, so first we're going to peel off the heart mask. We'll do that first. There we go. And you can keep these too because they can be reused. Just let it dry a little bit because it does get a little bit, inky, and you might get some of that on your fingers. So just let it dry a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to peel these letters off. There we go. Yeah, these little masks are fun. So pretty. Who doesn't love a rainbow? Rainbows bring sunshine, right? That means the rain is done and sunshine is ahead. All right. What would possess me to cut my nails right before I'm going to do masking? I don't know. We'll just struggle bus it a little bit. There we go. Isn't that pretty? That's so fun. So this die is going to be a little bit big. It's going to cut some of the heart off. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to eyeball it with the paper cutter. So let me do that. Now these, you know, a great way to store them, just pop them right over the letters on your stamp set, and you can use them over and over again. They stay pretty sticky for a while. So, you know, once you do the work of making the mask, then you have that mask for over and over again. All right, so what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to cut along one edge. I'm kind of just looking at this, and I can see like I can get it into that 4-inch mark here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to go too close to the edge over here. Cut that, and let's see what it looks like when I turn it to 4 inches. I think that'll work. Okay, so now I have a card that's 4 inches this way. Now I'm going to try to make it 5 1/4. So maybe I'll go down to 5. I don't care if it's not perfect. I don't want it to be too big. So I think I'm going to go down just a little bit more here. And then I'll make it 5. So it's going to be 4 by 5. That's a weird size. I know it's not the usual size that we do for an A2 card, but I kind of like the way it looks like that. So now I'm going to take a piece of black cardstock, and I made this 4 by 5. So I'm going to cut my layer. First, I'm going to cut it in half so I have a nice half sheet for later. So my first cut on my white piece is 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up 1/8 of an inch. See to that little tick mark right there? And I'm going to cut it. Then this way my card measures 5 inches. So I'm going to go to the 5-inch mark, and then I'm just going to go up 1/8 of an inch to that little tick mark right there. And that should give me a pretty nice little shadow layer here. Yeah, that looks good, right? That looks nice. Okay. Now I'm going to find a different color card base. I wonder if I should try like Wild Dandelion. Let's see how that looks. That would be kind of fun. Could do something like that. Now I could go a little thinner. Should I go a little thinner? I'm going to go a little thinner. It's always scary, but I'm going to go a little thinner. So I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off each side. Okay. I'm going to flip it. Ooh, that's scary. But I feel like it just needs to be thinner. Okay. That was scary, but it worked. And now this card measures 3 3/4 inches. So now I'm going to go to 3 3/4 inches, and I'm just going to go up 1/8 of an inch. And there we go. I didn't think that would make it, but that made it. And I think that's going to look a lot better on the card. So now let's look at the Wild Dandelion again and see if you guys think this is a good color for the card base. Do you like that color? Do you think that's fun? Or should we try a couple of the other colors? Let's look at the Turquoise Sea and see what that would look like. So how about if I tape these together first? I think we have to do something different than Turquoise Sea because the last one was Turquoise Sea. But let's get this on the black first because that really helps make the colors pop more. Okay, so Wild Dandelion. Here's Turquoise Sea. That's pretty too. We could try Jelly Bean Green. That's pretty, but it's a little drab, I think. Red, we'll try red. Okay, do I have a red? I think I have a red. Here's a red. Red. That's pretty. And then somebody suggested orange. Do I have a tangerine cut? I don't know that I do. I don't have one. shoot, I don't have one. I bet that would look great though. All right, so let's see. Okay, people are voting for the one color I didn't show. They're all voting for tangerine. I'll find a piece of tangerine. Hold on. I found one. I'm going to cut it real quick. I'm over by my big paper cutter. Don't go away. Okay, so here's the tangerine. And that's what that would look like. Oh, goodness. So, Tom, have you been keeping track?
Tangerine and red.
Tangerine and red are the big sellers, the big winners. People were voting for tangerine before they see it. I feel like that's like a conspiracy against all the other colors. Okay, so red. All right, we're going to do red because people say that that has a good Valentine's Day feel. So we'll do red, but I agree with all of you because I like all the colors. This would be one of those fun cards to mass produce once you have the masks made. It's so easy to do this and do them in every color. Send them out to all your friends. So we'll go with red for this. There we go. And there it is. Just really simple, fun cards. Two different ways to create those rainbow blends. The red does look really dark. You're right. Maybe a different red. Let me try. I have one more red here that you guys might like better. Let's just try it because that is the red velvet, but I have this color red. See how bright this red is? This is red hot. And I think red hot might be the color. So since you're all here with me and we're kind of doing this together, let's try this color. And I'm going to score it real quickly here. So I'll score that at the 5.5 inch mark. And I know some of you are asking me to do horizontal cards. There we go. Some of you are asking me to do horizontal cards, you know, cards that are this orientation, and I definitely can do that. Okay, this red might be a better red. Because, you know, with ink blending, even though you're ink blending with red velvet, ink blending is so gentle and delicate that the color is more transparent and it feels a little bit lighter. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. You're right. Oh, people have to, Barb. Yeah, there's always people that give thumbs down. But you know what? Let me tell you the great news about thumbs downs. It doesn't really bother me if they give me a thumbs down because YouTube counts that as an interaction and it helps push my videos to the top. So it's okay if people give me thumbs downs. But I love when you give me thumbs ups. That makes me really happy. Well, so those are my finished cards. Now, I could add a few little sequin elements in there. You know, this card would be really pretty if you actually did sequins all in the letters too. You could add sequins all in here, and that would be really pretty and really sparkly and vibrant. Maybe if you're giving this to your granddaughter or something like that. I know the young girls really love the sparkly things, so that's a fun way to do it too. But if you're sending it in the mail and you just want it super clean and simple and, you know, super thin for mailing, these cards are nice and flat. You can add your greeting and sentiment on the inside or a little bit of design elements on the inside. And the only pop-up you have here is this little flag. So these go for the price of a regular postage stamp. So there we go. 2 clean and simple rainbow cards. All right. Well, we got done just a little bit early today. So those of you that are on your lunch hour, you still have time to finish up eating and get cleaned up and get back at it. I had a great time with you guys today. I hope you had fun too. I will be back on Monday night, and I'm going to be playing with more of our new release stamp sets, so I hope you'll join me. I'm here on YouTube and on Facebook every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Time and every Thursday at noon Central Time. So if you can get it on your calendar or hit the notification bell, you'll get notified when another video goes live. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you again next Monday. Have a great weekend. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. I love you all so very much, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.